Hey YouTube, this is Rishika and I'm trying to make a series of video tutorials on data stage. So in that series of video tutorials, this would be my 13th video tutorial. In the previous videos, I dealt with database stages and few of the file stages, and yeah, I dealt with data set and sequential file because those are the things which probably we're gonna use while designing the jobs, and I'll deal with other stages later once I complete like the important processing stages in this palette. And after that I'm gonna come back and just finish with everything else what we have just left. So yeah, as I said in my earlier video, previous video, I gonna concentrate on aggregator stage in this video. So yeah, let's learn about aggregator stage. So let's just put some input and output links so that I'm not really designing the job. I just want to put some input and output links so that it has this things input and output tab, so I could discuss all the properties in it. So yeah, basically aggregator stage is a processing stage, and it's an active stage because it's an active stage because it needs to read the data from the source, and then perform all the aggregator functions in itself, and then write those aggregated transformations to the output. So it's reading and writing simultaneously. So that's why it's called an active stage, and it can have only one input link and one output link. It can't have any other links. And so what's the use of this stage is, if you guys have an idea of SQL, so it's basically like group by function. We are performing group by property or group by function by using this aggregator stage in data stage. So to make it simple, it basically classifies all the rows from a single input link into groups. We define the grouping columns, so it based on this it gonna have like data form into groups, and then based on those grouping columns it gonna compute totals or other aggregate functions for each group. All those things, like it doesn't matter which aggregation we use, because column for calculation we have, it's not just sum or it's not max or minimum value for a column. We have like any of this, we can use any of these properties, aggregating properties, and calculate the statistics. The best essentiality of this aggregator stage is to group records with similar characteristics and then calculate statistics on all records in the group. So you might be wondering, what are the statistics she's talking about, right? So let me just give an example. Let's say, okay, so every company has sales team, right? So let's say they need to have their own statistics and see which month they make more sales, and which month which month is really dull and all that, because that gonna help to improve their sales things, right? So yeah, let's say they have a task of grouping sales in each month and each quarter is like 3 months, four months I guess, or 3 quarters, yeah, 4 months. So 4 months or 3 months, 4 months I guess, I'm sorry guys. I'm really poor in math. So yeah, so quarterly they're gonna have like the thing is they're gonna have group sales in each month and quarterly, and see which month and which quarter of the year has the highest sales. So yeah, that's pretty useful, right? Once they have like, if they say like probably September to December is pretty slow month, they're not gonna waste their resources on that particular time, in that particular time. So yeah, it's pretty useful to compute the statistics by using this group functions in aggregator stage. So in addition to revealing all these patterns, all these like group by patterns in your data, it can also reduce the volume of data by summarizing the records in each group, obviously, right? Because let's say you have like 50 departments, 50 different departments, and if you wanna have like if you just 50 different departments, and each department has its own managers and everything, right? So when we just when we use group by function, it means that all those, let's say, a single department has like four different managers and sub managers, right? So I want to see what each department, or how many managers, or who are the managers for each department. So if I choose like department so and so department group by this department and manager ID, so I could get only that department and see what are all the managers, or who are all the managers in that department. So basically what I'm doing, I'm trying to filter out the data and grouping by the only my requirement, grouping by as per my requirement. So it's obviously reducing the volume of data, right? So because it's reducing the volume of data, I can happily summarize the records in each group and making it, I mean, it's easier to manage, right, rather than dealing with huge volumes of data. So yeah, that's pretty cool function for the aggregator stage. And if you group by a large volume of data, let's say you have like many other like one or more characteristics of data, and you're trying to group a large volume of data. So what does it does do, the resulting data set, whenever you have like large volumes of data, you're grouping with one or more keys, right? But ultimately, the resulting data set is much smaller than the original data because you're just grouping by, right? So, yeah, no matter how huge your volume is, your incoming data, the ultimate output data is generally much smaller than the original. So, obviously, when it is much smaller, it is easier for us to understand. And if you want to explain it to our managers or some other HR departments or anyone, yeah, it's easier to rise because those guys are not technical guys, right? So we can just explain, so this is what happening in this month, and this is what we need to concentrate really because the sales are really huge. So we're gonna concentrate on this particular month and try to try to pull more customers. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're gonna do with aggregator stage. And basically, in a parallel environment, the way we partition the data before grouping and summarizing it can affect the results. What I mean to say is, if you remember the partitioning techniques, round robin, right? Let's say you have partitioned this using round robin technique. What does round robin technique, partitioning technique does? It gonna send, let's say we have five columns, so at five columns and three nodes, and the first record go to the first node, second record to the second node, third record to the third node. The fourth record again gonna go to the first node, right? So that's how what happens with the round robin technique. But when we are using aggregation, we don't want round robin because let's say we have departments. So let's say we have like 10, okay, let's say the previous example as 10 and different managers like different managers like 121, 122, 123. Okay, so if I have like 10 121, 10 122, 10 123, so they, if I use round robin technique, this 10 and the corresponding manager ID 123 is going to the first node, 10 and the corresponding 124 manager ID is going to the second node, and 10 124 corresponding ID is going to the third node. But it doesn't really make sense because I want to make group by function, right? If each node, if the same department ID is going to different nodes, how can I make group by aggregation? It doesn't really make sense at all, right? So yeah, that's a reason you need to really be careful about this partitioning techniques. So if you remember from my previous video about the partitioning techniques, yeah, so it would be apt to use like hash partitioning, because whatever the key column or whatever the group by column you're defining, just give hash partitioning technique, give like hash key for that, so that all those key columns, all those similar key columns go to the one node, so that we can perform all the aggregations on that particular thing. So yep, that's pretty much it. So now since we know a little background about the aggregator stage, now let's get into the properties. So grouping keys is just like it's repeating property. Grouping keys, we have group. So you see this blue blue things repeating, so that means it's a repeatable property. And the ones which you have like yellow means that it has a sub property too. So yeah, that's thing. So basically what we are doing with grouping case is we are specifying the input columns which we are using to group by. Whenever you write SQL statement, you're gonna have like select department number and so on, so on, so on, so group by department number, right? So group by department number, you're writing your SQL statement. So here we are not writing group by department or number or anything. Just we are giving group and columns, whatever columns we have. When we hit like the drop down box, I'll design a sample job, but just let me explain it. So yeah, when we hit this drop down box, it's gonna show all the columns present. So yeah, we can choose any of those columns based on our requirement, what on what basis you want to group your data. So yep, that's it. And you can have, it's not that you can have only one grouping, you can have any number of grouping based upon your requirement. I mean, basically you can select multiple columns as group keys. And what else is so okay, yeah, so I said this yellow things, the bottom of the left, bottom of the blue things, you have little yellow things, right? So yeah, that means it has a sub property. So sub property is this case sensitive. So what is this case sensitive is, if you select this case sensitive, it's true or false option. So basically data stage is allowing us to specify whether the grouping key which you have given here in the group thing, whether your grouping key is case sensitive or not. So yep, that's pretty much it. I mean, if it's true, it means that, I mean, it's true by default. So if it's true, it means that it's not case sensitive or something. And if it's false, it means that yeah, it is case sensitive, so yeah, you really need to worry about. So that's pretty much it. You need not really worry about this case sensitive thing. And yep, next, coming to the aggregations category. Aggregations, we do have three types of different aggregation types. So yeah, this is an interview question. Some guys, when they really want to know, they don't really ask details about the data stage. If you say that I have been working with data stage for a pretty long time, so yeah, and they just want to hit a few questions so that they could get a picture of did you really worked on data stage. So yeah, they're gonna ask these type of questions. I have seen a person asking how many aggregation types do we have in aggregator stage. So I was like little I was like little blank for first time aggregation types, and then I realized, okay, so this is what he is asking. Calculation, count rows, and recalculation, these are the three different aggregation types in aggregator stage. So calculation, I mean, it's basically asking what you want to calculate, on which column you want to perform your calculation now. And count rows, basically it's asking how many, I mean, it's nothing, just counting the rows. It's basically asking how to count the rows. If you just hit count rows and give like what are the to know the count of the rows, right? Yeah, it's just like yeah, that's it, just count rows, that's it. I mean, I'm trying to explain the words which are pretty clear in their things. So yeah, count rows, it's going to count the rows based on the grouping keys, that's it. And the recalculation is we're going to use this recalculation only a few times. If you want to perform if you want to perform the calculations on already grouped columns and already calculated columns, yeah, so that's when you use recalculation. So yep, that's it. And the other thing is, you can't use calculation in this aggregator stage, and you can't have like count rows again in the same stage. If you want to count rows again, yeah, then go for another stage or just put an aggregator afterwards. So that's it. You could just to choose only one type of aggregation in one aggregator stage. So that's it. Then column for calculation is again a repeatable property. and you see here this blue things are repeating, so it's a repeatable property. And the bottom of the blue things, little yellow things, it means that they have sub properties. So yeah, column for calculation is basically it's asking us to select on which column you need to aggregate, and then once you select the column for calculation, it gonna then ask, okay, once so you have your column on which you need to calculate, I got it, but what you need to calculate on that, is it like maximum value or minimum value, or missing value and non-missing and percentage, standard deviation, and some output, some all these things, like it's pretty much like all the math things. So yep, that's pretty much about it. So let's see, count rows. Count output column. Count output column, it basically asking what like basically asking what type of what do you want to name, with the what do you want to name the output column, or what do you want to have, which column do you want to count really, your rows, that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, recalculation, it again asks us to have like summary column for recalculation. So it's asking, basically choose your column for recalculation, and on that column for recalculation, what is the exact recalculation you want to do among this, so you're gonna just choose among this available properties to add. So yeah, that's pretty much about this aggregation category. And now let's go to options. Options, it's allow null output, right? So allow null output means it's always set to false. So it means it has only true or false options. So if this is set to true, what does this mean is, it's asking, if this is set to true, we are saying to data stage that all the null values which you see in my like input data, they are valid output. So whenever you're calculating something on those columns, and if you see any null values, then just it's saying null is a valid output. So yeah, that's it. And if it's false, it's saying that if by default it's always false. So if it's false, we are saying that null output, null if the if like if you see any null values in the calculating or in the columns which I have given, so just substitute that null values, just consider those null values or as zero, and then calculate your aggregation or just summary, or just sum or mean or max values. So that's it. So by default it's always false. So false means for every null column, or I'm sorry, every null record it gonna meet, that null value is being substituted by zero, so that it doesn't really affect our things. So that's it. For example, you say like you need to calculate your average output. So if you won't put zero here, it affects, right? If it's true, it means that you're saying that is a valid output. But how does that gonna affect our things, right? It does affect our things, because if it's null is a valid output, how it gonna calculate average based on that null value? So yeah, you can just choose it, but it's always by default false. So so basically when it's calculating, it gonna count null. Whenever it see null, it gonna count it as zero, and then calculate average or mean or anything. And the method we have, like basically we have hash and sort types. So hash is like, okay, let me just tell you what's this method is. Basically it's your choice on choosing like primarily, I mean it's basically your choice of mode, which primarily depends on the number of groupings in the input data set, and taking into account all the memory available, and yeah, all those things. So you have two different types, hash and sort. Hash is when you use hash mode when you have like relatively small number of groupings, like let's say you have just like few number of groups on each node. So yeah, you can just go for hash method. So when using hash method, you should use hash partition obviously to input the data. uh, based on your grouping keys and all that stuff. So yeah, it ensures that all the records in the same group or in the same partition, so that it doesn't mess up your aggregation thing. But hash partitioning is not really mandatory, because you can choose any other partitioning method. If you choose, basically you want to choose that partitioning method to create, so that the groups together are in a single partition, right? So that's important. That's it. And the sort thing is, if, as I said, the hash partitioning is relatively effective for small groups. We need to have another option for large groups too, right? So yeah, that's when the sort method comes into action. So if the number of groups is large, and you need to have like multiple grouping keys, sorting on the multiple grouping keys. So yeah, that's when you use this sort method. So yeah, normally we use sort method, and this sorting requires pre-grouping operation. Pre-grouping operation means after sorting, all records in a given group in the same partition are consecutive. So yeah, it requires just a pre-grouping operation, and you really need not worry about these things. Yeah, just checking for just giving you a brief idea. And yep, that's pretty much it about this hash and sort methods. And now let's go to advanced, and yep, you need not really worry about this. And we just pretty much discussed about this. Yeah, so this is where you're gonna use your partitioning techniques, and if you choose your partitioning techniques, it's gonna have all the available properties and then perform and all the key functions and all that. So yep, that's pretty much about it. Oh yeah, I forgot about this thing, default to decimal output. So yeah, default to decimal output is, by default what happens is, yeah, this is also one of the important interview questions. They're gonna ask, if you just have like aggregated columns, so what is the data type of those aggregated columns in the output? So by default, all the calculation or recalculation columns have an output type of double. So double is the data type. So yeah, they by default they have this. But if you choose this property, default to decimal output, so this property allows you to specify basically that the output column which you are generating, I need to have an output type of decimal. And you can also specify the precision and all that, decimal, right? So you need to specify the precision and all that. So yep, that's only one thing which I have forgot probably. And the other thing is, if the aggregator stage is set to execute, by default it's in parallel. So yeah, if it's executed in parallel mode, you can select a partitioning method on input. You can have like you can select the partitioning type. So this will basically, if you select the partitioning type, basically whatever the source stage, what type of partitioning technique, it just gonna doesn't care, it just overrides the partitioning technique from the previous stage. But if this is executed in the sequential mode, so what happens is, but okay, so if this is executed in sequential mode, but the preceding stage, like the source stage, we do have this, right? So if this doesn't execute in sequential, but just say if no, yeah, so if this aggregator is executed in sequential mode, but this dataset obviously is executed in parallel mode, so what happens is, this thing, it's see collector type, this changed to collector type, and we don't have much options, we have only four options, right? If you remember these four options, we talked about them, what does this collector types indicate, right? So yeah, that's it. If you have execution mode, by default it's parallel, choose, then on the input tab you're basically partitioning. And if it's sequential mode and the previous stage is parallel, then it's gonna have the collecting type. So yep, that's pretty much that's I guess now I have completed pretty much everything. Now let's design a simple job, and show you how this aggregator actually works. Okay, So before that, let me show you how we just like group by functions in SQL. Okay, so select star from emp is my table. So let's see what are the columns present in that. So we have emp number, name, job, manager, high date, salary, commission, and department number. So okay, I want to have I want to group by department number and see salary in those group by department numbers. So how do you write? It's select department number, right? Yeah, department number, and I want to calculate some salary for each department. And I also want to calculate I also want to know what's a maximum salary given and what's a minimum salary given from EMP, right? Group by what, which column we need to group by? Department number, obviously, right? So yeah, just department number and then semicolon. Okay, so it's not salary, it's just sal. Okay, I need to write it again. Select DEPT number, sum, sal, max, sal, min, sal from EMP, group by department number. Okay, so see, so it's having it has only 3 departments and it's showing the sum salary, the maximum salary, and minimum salary. So yep, that's pretty much so we need to write the SQL statement, but in aggregator stage, let's do it in aggregator stage now. So let me just put Oracle connector as a source, because yeah, we do have some few tables in Oracle connector, and then aggregator, and then just write it to some data set. Okay, yeah, and then just write it to some data set. Okay, now let's create, because we are using Oracle, let's create the parameter set. So yeah, go to the parameters and create it. So what are the things you need to have? Do you remember server, username, and password, right? See, server, username, and password. Let's create parameters for these 3. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go to this parameters and create parameters now. So server, server, and then just server name, right? Server name, and type is string, right? And my server name is Oracle. It depends on the project, but yeah, I'm explaining it on my personal system, so yeah. And the username is just username again, and it's again string. If you have if a real-time project, you will have the path here. That path we're gonna have in the default value, but since it's on personal system, I'm just gonna say Oracle, and username is I have Scott, and password, and this is again password or something else. You can just have your password. Remember, it should be encrypted. It doesn't make sense if you use string. So my password, just confirm it and then hit OK. Okay, now select all these parameters and create parameter set. So what parameter set? Oracle Oracle details. Okay, Oracle details, and don't worry really about anything. And then yep, and what do you want, or what do you want to have your file name? Just say we aggregator, right? So let's, okay, not aggregator, we're gonna use the same parameter for all other jobs too. So let's say schema. Okay, just schema1. So remember schema1, everything falls into place. Then click on OK. and then just save your parameters something somewhere, and then it's asking if you want to replace all these things with just the parameter set. Yep, and then yep, see, everything is set. So now let's go and choose the parameters. So server, go to the parameter, see server, and then username, parameter, username, and the password, parameter, password. So that's pretty much it. So what did I say? First test your connection and see everything falls into place. So now test the connection, because it's really waste of time, right? So the connection was successful. So now go to your this thing. So just select yes, and what table, what did we choose? EMP, right? So yeah, let's work on the same column, same table, sorry. Now load your EMP things. So what's your EMP? Yep, here is your EMP. So click on OK and then just click OK. And now let's see how the data looks like. So every time it asks us, because if it's saying parameter set, uh, it's just verifying if this is the parameter set you want to use, or is there some other thing. So yep, we do have this thing. So now just hit on OK, and now come to the aggregator stage. So aggregator stage, so what do you want to group by? What did we group by in SQL? It's department number, right? So just hit on department number, and aggregation type, it's all obviously calculation. We need to calculate output and all that. So yeah, what's a calculation you need to do? On which column calculation you need to do? Salary, right? So salary, but what calculation you need to do? You need to have maximum value, and what else you just say mean. Let's choose something else, and let's say you have some output, and what else, where are min and max? Let me just see. Okay, we have maximum, and let's say min too. Okay, so these are all the things which we are doing it. So maximum value of output column, so it's asking what do you want to name your field. So I just want to name it max sal. Okay, it's saying it can't accept those special characters, so just max sal. Okay, and now what is this? Mean sal, mean sal, and this is min sal, and this is some, right, sum of the sal, department wise. So yep, that's pretty much it. And yeah, it's only few, so everything is like method hash and everything, let's just put it that way. And now we're gonna hash partitioning, so that department number, all the department number goes into a single place. And you can perform sort too, you can perform sort, but yeah, since we have only few columns, I'm not performing any sort. And now output columns, see, these are the output columns. uh, Output columns are those columns which we specify as the group number and all these things. So just map your output columns, just hit on and here, just drag all those output columns and hit OK. And now choose the file. I'm not choosing the parameter here, I'm sorry, I didn't create a parameter, but just browsing for the file. So yeah, if you choose ex.txt or fs, those are not the extension for the dataset, right? The job just aborts. So make sure when you're choosing the file extension, it's .ds file. So hit on .ds file, and yep, I want to overwrite it, and that's pretty much it. So now just click on OK, and let's see, let's compile it first. Let's compile it and see if we have everything in place. See, everything is good. Now just close it and run it. It's asking if you want to use this parameter set. Yep, I want to use this parameter. So yep, it's successful. See, we have 14 rows and the output has only 3 rows, because we are grouping by, right? It's pretty much easy to analyze. It's hard to analyze 14 rows, and it's easier to analyze 3 rows. So this is what I was speaking about. It makes our job easy. So yeah, see, so we have max salary in the 30. We do have like 14 things, but the max salary is 2850, and the mean and the minimum salary is really 950, and maximum sum of the salary. So yeah, this is, so we can say that obviously when we have this thing, so we can analyze now that the department who are in the 20 department, 20 department, they are having the high, I mean they are, I guess there are more people in the 20 department because the sum is really high. So probably that, or their salaries might be high. So yep, because yeah, this their salaries might be high. You can just have like your own your own statistics. It doesn't really make sense to me because it's just department number, right? But yeah, whenever you have like sales numbers, and yeah, let's see, like if the merchant is just paying and all that stuff, and they want to see which merchant is like paying in time and which merchant is like really good in their transactions and all that. Yeah, that makes really lot of sense to me. So yeah, that's pretty much how you use this aggregator stage. So if you see, this is the same thing, right? Some salary in 30, department number we have 9400. So it's same exact output, but we did it in a data stage. So that's it. That's pretty much about the data stage. So yeah, now you remember I said whatever the data stage creates as the output columns, it has double by default, right? It's, this is department number is the grouping, so it doesn't change its data type. But all the other things like this four max, min, mean, and sum, they have by default double, right? Yeah, if you don't want double and if you want some decimal output, yeah, so you can then choose this thing, this decimal thing, decimal value or decimal output and anything, yeah, whatever that is case sensitive. And now so yeah, just just choose it, yeah, group by, and then choose decimal value, yeah, default to decimal output. So if you choose this, instead of giving it double, it's gonna give output as a decimal data type. So yep, that's pretty much about this dataset stage. I mean, sorry, not data stage, aggregator stage. So yeah, this is how you do your aggregations in data stage. This is pretty cool stage because it enables us to perform all the aggregations and just group by and have our own uh, just conclusions drawn from this stage, right? So yep, that's pretty much it, guys. And in my next video, copy stage, I'll go with the copy stage. It's pretty short video where we don't have many functionalities in copy. It just okay, I'm not gonna tell it now. So yeah, I'll just probably make it pretty soon. And once we are done with the copy, then I'm gonna have a filter. Yeah, I'll try to do this copy and filter because these are the pretty much simple stages, and then move on to the other stages. Okay, thank you guys, thank you so much for watching, and thanks, bye bye.